Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the new releases in 2025 that I'm really excited to read. I bet you though I'm not going to read half of these until 2 years later because I don't know, I'm excited to read new releases. Every single time it's a new year I always look at the new releases and then I literally add half of them to my want to read list and then I don't actually end up reading them, and I literally just judge books by the cover. If the cover is pretty, added onto my want to read list. This time though, I have tried to pick books written by authors that I've already read or part of a series. So I've tried to pick them like consciously so I don't add a bunch of books onto my TBR. I basically separated everything into different categories, and the first one is romance slash contemporary books. The first one is I'm Not 𝐸𝐶𝐻 by Anne Leanne, and Anne Leanne, I've read a majority of her books and they usually center around an Asian American couple, and we have a main character who usually has something to do with study. She's a very smart girl, and there's always a rivalry between the main character and the male lead. I don't know what half of these books are about as well, so we're gonna look at the blurb together. But this book apparently is about Jenna Chan, and she makes a wish to be smarter, and then she ends up being trapped in the body of Jessica Chen, which is her cousin, which is why it's called I'm Not Jessica Chen. And that whole idea is so interesting. I think it's very interesting how she kind of combines some magical, like supernatural element with romance as well. The whole idea of a studious main character romance, but then it's also like her switching bodies with another person, and then in I think the first book that she released, If You Can See the Sun or something like that, she also turns invisible, and because of that she can hear the secrets of her classmates and everything, and that was a wild plot. So I find that it's so interesting how she includes like a mixture of romance and kind of just like weird magical supernatural things. But I've read a majority of Anne Leanne's books, so I'm really excited to read this one as well, and the cover is so beautiful, and the title as well really kind of caught my attention. We have Deep End by Ali Hazelwood, which Ali Hazelwood, I have also read a majority of her books, and I really enjoy her romance books. It's a hit or a miss sometimes with me, and I'm excited to read The Deep End because it's apparently about a romance involving two swimmers, which is very interesting. I don't think I've ever read a book like that. It's always usually focused around, I swear, like on hockey romance, so I think reading a romance based on a different sport is going to be very interesting to read. Wild Side by Elsie Silver. I loved Wild Love and Wild Eyes, which I read recently, so I'm really excited to read Wild Side. I don't even know who the characters are based on. I really like the Rose Hill series overall. I don't know, I like it a lot more than Chestnut Springs because I read the first book of Chestnut Spring and I did not like it at all. So Wild Side is about that's right, it's about Reese and Tessa. Is her name Tessa? And we get it's her name's Happy. And we get a little bit of the interaction from the second book, Wild Eyes. And I remember feeling so intrigued about the relationship and where it goes because it was so random. And they had like so much tension between them. So I was really wondering where it would lead to and how it even started in the first place. So I'm really excited to read their romance book. Say You Remember Me is an Abby Jimenez book, and I also have read quite a few of Abby Jimenez books, which is why half of the books that I picked in this video are from authors that I've read before. But Say You Remember Me, I feel like that's a Taylor Swift line, but also I love the bright covers that her books have in general, and I just love the kind of covers that her books have. I don't know what this book is about. I bet you once this book gets released, half of the booktubers that I watch are going to be talking about the book and explaining the blurb for me. So I'm just going to wait until that happens and then read the book for myself. And then we have Emily Henry, Great Big Beautiful Life, which it's very complicated. I sometimes don't like her book. I remember not liking People With Me on Vacation and Beach Read, but even then, every book that she releases, I still end up reading, and I really enjoyed reading Happy Place and Funny Stories, so I always give her books a chance because I feel like you never know when you like a book or not. So either way, I always give her book a chance. I just feel like it's a good mixture of like romance and literary fiction, and I like how it is more focused on the romance, but obviously we have like other real world stuff that is happening in the background. I also don't know what this book is about, and I don't want to search it up, we'll see once every other booktubers talk about the book. We have The Love Haters by Catherine Center. I've only read one book from Catherine Center, which is The Bodyguard, but I really enjoyed that book, so I'm really excited to see what this book is about. I do want to check out her other books, such as, I don't know what her other books are, but I am excited to read more of her books. The cover of it also looks very bright, very summery holiday, and this book is basically about, I guess, two people who kind of love and hate each other, and it's something about, you know what, I don't even understand what this book is about. I don't understand the blurb. Like, I'm just gonna read it and then make up my own blurb for the story. Next, we have my fantasy books, and I'm really excited to read a lot of these fantasy books because I love the feeling of just nostalgia that some of these fantasy books will give me. First, we have Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros, and this is the third book to Fourth Wing. I'm really excited to read this book. You know what, though? Do I even remember what the second book is about? I read the second book literally this year, I think. And I think my issue with the second book is that a lot of it was focused on the romance and literally Xaden groveling, and it was just kind of annoying for me. But there was this whole thing that happened at the end, which was quite interesting, and I'm excited to see where the third book goes. Next, we have Winds of Starlight, which, if you guys have watched Tinkerbell, this book is basically about Queen Clarion and Milrory, who is, I think, like, in the movie he's the lord or something of the winter fairies, and she's obviously the queen of the summer fairies. And I think this is the, I guess, prequel to their relationship, because this takes place when they're obviously younger, so how they meet each other and how the relationship develops. And if you guys have watched Tinkerbell, if you guys have watched the movie, you know I've always been obsessed with their relationship because it's always been this forbidden love, star-crossed lovers, and the whole revelation that they were actually a couple. Oh my god, I'm really excited to read this book, really excited to see how their romance started off, and I kind of wish that we got a movie about them, because I feel like that would have been so much more better, in my opinion, than getting a book. But I'm still excited to get some more, I guess, content out of them, even though it was such a little part of the movie. Like, I'm so excited to read it. Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales. This is the third book to the Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I loved the first book. The second book to me was kind of okay, but I'm excited to read the third book, and I'm hoping that I really love it. I feel like with Emily Wilde, it's a little bit of a cozy fantasy, and because of that, I feel like in terms of the plot, sometimes nothing really happens and it's very slow, and like a lot of fae books in general makes me feel like I'm in a fever dream. So I'm interested to see where this book goes, and again, I'm hoping that I enjoy it, because the second book, I think, just didn't live up to my expectations, and I wanted, I guess, more out of the romance, because I love the romance. At the same time, though, I'm really interested in the plot because there's this whole thing going on, so I'm excited to see how it ends. I don't know if this is the last book. I feel like it's a trilogy. It should be a trilogy. I don't know how they would extend it. Then we have The Floating World, which this book kind of reminds me of Beyond the End of the World, the whole idea of the worlds being separate. I honestly picked this book because the cover, yeah, I judge books by its cover, but also I read one book from this author before. I can't remember if I necessarily liked it because I think it was a K-pop book and I wasn't super into it, but I am excited to read it because I love fantasy books and it sounds really interesting. I don't know, looking at the blurb though, I just honestly, I cannot explain what it's about from the blurb, but basically it's about two people, and then we have Sunho, who lives in the underworld, which is a land of perpetual darkness. He's an ex-soldier, but he can't remember his life from 2 years ago, which that I'm excited to read. And then we have Ren, who is a cheerful and spirited acrobat, but then something happens where there is a demon who attacks the village that she is performing at, and then she has magical powers, and then she meets Sunho, and apparently he is the girl that he has been looking for. So that kind of reminds me of, I think, Beyond the End of the World, kind of Son of Silver Flame Like Night. It sounds to me like a mixture of a lot of different books. Then we have Cruel is the Light and A Forgery of Fate. I'm just putting these two books together because I honestly cannot remember what they look like or what the book is even about. Can you tell? Like, I'm typing on my iPad just trying to figure it out, but I really just picked the covers because they looked really pretty, and I love the art in the covers. So Cruel is the Light is basically about a demon hunter and a foot soldier who's thrown together in a centuries old war. We have Forbidden Love, Exorcist. This sounds really interesting though. I think it's basically like we have tropes of forbidden love, maybe like enemies, people that are from separate places. So I'm very intrigued to see where it goes. And A Forgery of Fate is by Elizabeth Lim, and I've read a few of her books before. I actually think there is one series which is Six Paper Cranes that I have yet to finish. Yeah, I should add that onto my series that I need to finish because I think I forgot about that. But I have read a couple of books, and this cover is what caught my attention because it is so beautiful. Like, I'm telling you, her book covers are always so beautiful. The art is literally perfect, chef's kiss. And oh, this book is a fantasy inspired by Beauty and the Beast, and there is a marriage contract with a mysterious dragon lord, and she also has magical painting powers. She has the ability to paint the future. And then we have we have the primal of Blood and Bone, and I literally haven't read the rest of what's it called, Blood and Ash. I read up to I think the third book, and then I just stopped because I think the rest of the series wasn't out. And I'm hoping that this book is the last book so I can actually continue with the rest of the series because I really liked the first three books because they were just really wild and crazy books, but they were really fun and entertaining to read. So I'm excited to read the rest of the series. I'm hoping that this is the last book because six book long series, I think that's enough for me. We have The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy, which what caught my eye was honestly the title and the cover. Again, I love art on cover, especially when art looks like this particularly. And I saw like a review. It was a very short review because I was just looking at the book and then something caught my eye and someone was like Dramoni, which is Draco and Hermione. To be honest, I understand because they kind of do look like each other, and I don't really know if this is just fan art, not fan art, fan fiction that turned into a book because that happens a lot. But I don't really read Hermione fan fiction. I don't really read fan fiction in general because I feel like they're always different from the characters. But it was really the title that caught my interest. Like, the irresistible urge to fall in love with your enemy. That sounds really good. And then we have the second book to Quicksilver, which is right now it's untitled, so I don't really know, but it's supposed to release at the end of the year. And I read the first book very recently, and not gonna lie, after reading the first book, it's kind of been stuck in my head, even though for me it was okay. I had some issues with the plot and I guess the pacing of it because I felt kind of bored. However, I am really excited to see where it develops because there are certain characters that I really liked, and I kind of want to see the direction of where the romance goes. Initially, this book was supposed to be published in October of 2024, which is wild because the first book got released in June. So I was also like, how do you write so fast for it to be released in October? But then they pushed it back to, I think, November, which I'm very glad about because no way it would be good if you released it in the same year that it was first published. Next, we're gonna go into our Danmei books because there are a few that I'm really excited to be released. I think in the end I will probably read all of them, but there are just some books that I know of more than others, so I went through the ones that I've already heard about or that I already want to start reading. First, we have 𝐛𝐨𝐲𝐬𝐢 Volume 3, which I am really excited about this. I'm gonna, I think, reread the series probably once all the volumes have been released because I don't think I can handle reading my book of 𝐛𝐨𝐲𝐬𝐢 because it's literally like 1,000 pages and I want it to be split up into different volumes because I feel like that'll be easier for me. I'm excited for all of those to be released so I can finally reread the series at a very slow pace. And then we have Stars of Chaos Volume 5, which this is the last volume, and that means I'm gonna start reading it because I don't want to read any of them unless they are completed because I betcha they're gonna end on a cliffhanger and I'm gonna pull my hair out. I started reading The Husky and His White Cat season this year and then I regret it and I'm not reading it until it finishes. And I think Thousand Autumns has been completed this year, so I want to finish that. No, I want to start reading that, but really I'm just waiting for all of them to be completed before I start reading them. We have Remnants of Filth Volume 6, Case File Compendium Volume 4, and then Peerless Volume 3. I don't even know what Peerless is about, but I just saw it. I think Case File Compendium, I think that the cover is really pretty, so I got it, but I think it's written by the same person who wrote The Husky and His White Cat season, and I don't trust that. Yeah. And then we have The Disabled Tyrant Beloved Pet Fish, Volume 4, which is the final book. So you betcha I'm reading that book. The title, though, is very interesting. Like, I'm so confused on what this book is even about because the title is wild. But it has gotten me interested, intrigued. So I guess that is a good thing. That's basically all the 2024 new releases that I want to read next year. I'm filming this in December. So I am excited to pick these books up. Hopefully, it's either that or I'm not going to read them until years later because that always happens. But thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know any of your new releases that you're excited to read. Please like, subscribe, and all that jazz. And I will see you guys in another video. Bye!